Hey guys, this is a video that I'm putting out for my guild. Even though it's going to be on YouTube, this is coinciding with a Naxx boss guide document that I wrote up. So I'm going to be going over all of the bosses in Naxx except for a Nubricon. I started this recording a little late in the run. This is from last week, which was April the 17th, which was our personal record for Naxx. It was 59 minutes. But I'm not going to show the entire run. But these boss fights, this is a DMF week. So this is DMF week 2. So a lot of us, almost the entire raid, I believe, except for people who died, obviously, have DMF for the entire run. So these boss fights are going to be a little quicker than normal, but the strategies still apply. So Anubricon, like I said, he's left out of this video. I started recording a little late in OBS last week, and Anubricon is basically a tank and spank anyway. I think we kill him in about between 30 and 40 seconds, I think, is our kill time. So there's no phase 2. There's really nothing to worry about on him. I have this muted, so there's no sound, but I'm going to be going through and I'll be pausing it at different intervals. What you can't see, I started this recording right as we were pulling. We do a Paladin Petri pull. So this is for people who are watching this video on YouTube who are not in the guild. I'll be doing a little bit of both, I suppose. So explaining to people who don't know what's going on, and then explaining to kind of up and coming tanks in the guild as to what their responsibilities are. So there's over in the corner over here to the right, way up against the wall, there's a Paladin who has a Petri, and they pull the entire room of trash, run over to the wall, use Flask of Petrification, and then we kill the boss before that Petri falls off, and we all run out of the room, and then the Paladin dies. They don't have world buffs out. They boon them up before this pull. And then that saves several minutes of pull, because the trash in Fairlena's room takes forever. So what we have here is there's followers and worshippers, and each one is marked. You can see, there's a Fairlena is not marked with a skull. There's a skull, there's an X, there's a star, there's a circle. I think there's a square in there somewhere. In Angry Area, we have, there's a triangle and a diamond, if you look at Angry Area. This is an add-on called Angry Area. This is what we use for assignments. You can copy and paste assignments out of a Word doc or a notepad into this add-on. It's very handy for raid leaders. And the raid leader just updates this on every boss pull for what the assignments are. All of this is pre-planned, of course. We don't, change it on the fly unless we're changing up tanks because some of them lost world buffs or something to that effect. But on Fairlena, there's an individual tank assigned to each each ad. And we basically have priests MC the followers, I think. No, the worshippers. So the followers die immediately to cleave. The warriors will all cleave the followers down. The worshippers are MC'd by the priests, and then they immediately sacrifice them because Fairlena dies too fast for her to get Frenzy off or Enrage or whatever it's called. So it's going to go a little quick, but what you'll see is the main tank has a square on him right here. I'm right here, I think, right behind him. There's warriors that are charging past. You can see there's a charge stun on my target. My target's right there. I'm Star, I believe. Nope, I'm Skull. So yeah, there's the skull mark, and you can see my arrow is targeting him. So all of the tanks will grab their ads, and basically the main tank is going to grab Fairlena and go to the bottom of these steps and stop. And then what we do, because we cannot go to the side of the room over here. We can't kite around up here, and we want to be as close to the door as possible when she dies. So that way we can all leave the room and not accidentally pull the trash that is currently attacking the Paladin who is immune. Because we are not in combat with the trash as of right now. So all of the ads basically either die or get MC'd right away. Fairlena gets pulled to the bottom of the steps, and then the main tank will slowly start pulling her towards the door out of Rain of Fire. So I'm going to Hit play here. Okay, you can see here's all the ads. They're all going to get grouped up. People are sappering. Okay, the main tank, we almost always mark our main tank with a square. So that's how you know where the main tank is. You could see all of the warriors have Death Wish popped and Recklessness, except for the tanks. Some of the tanks might have popped Recklessness, but I don't pop Recklessness, and neither does the main tank. And we don't pop Recklessness because we swap bosses. So in this run, you'll see the main tank is Ortimus. If I'm not tanking a boss, he's tanking the boss. We swap bosses throughout the run. And it's usually the same bosses every single week. So that way there's, a lot of muscle memory there. But we're basically burning all cooldowns to burn these followers and worshippers down and then burn Fairlena down. She's already at 79%. So you see all the ads, all the health bars start disappearing. Fairlena is at the bottom of the steps. He's moving her a little bit. There's a rain of fire. One other important note, we also take, you probably can't see the buff here, but that's a frozen rune. We hand out frozen runes to all of the melee, and I think even the healers might get one. But definitely all the melee pop a frozen rune, or you can pop a fire protection potion ahead of time. I don't believe there's any trash in Spiderwing that does fire damage. But you want the warriors to be able to MRP on this fight. We burn her down pretty quickly. We actually probably don't need to wreck anymore. I don't know if we're going to change that in the future, but a frozen rune helps a lot to absorb Rain of Fire. So you can see she's going down quick. She's at 25, 20. Execute phase, dead. Well, now dead. So we usually, this was one of our better clears. We usually end up closer to the door on non-DMF weeks because the tank will just slowly pull her 10 yards or so every time she casts Rain of Fire to get the melee out of the Rain of Fire. You'll see over here in the corner, I think I pan back maybe. Everybody's running out. I didn't pan my camera back, but you can see there's the arrow there on my mini-map. That's the Paladin. So the Paladin just died. He clicked off Petri and died. We're moving ahead, and then the Paladin gets summoned up to us. So we're going to skip ahead to the next boss. Don't really need to talk too much about trash. So Maxna, I'm probably going to change the way that I off-tank. So Ort main tanks Maxna. And you can see Angry Era now is updated. There's a Paladin assigned to Lay on Hands. So it's the tank for Maxna is Ort. And then it says River Song, Lay on Hands. And then it has healers and their assignments. Any special instructions, which this one just says Undead Trinkets off because Maxna is one of the few bosses that is not undead. What I typically do, what we used to do months and months ago on Maxna was we would never push her to enrage. We would always absorb at least one web spray. Web spray is where the tank gets, and the entire raid gets wrapped, and Maxna will keep hitting the tank. If she is enraged, when that happens, the main tank's probably going to die, even if they have shield wall up. The play usually is that you get her to a certain point of health. I think it's 35%, or maybe it's 30%. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then you stop DPS, and then when she does web spray, the main tank uses shield wall so that they take very little damage during the web spray duration. And then when you come out of that, you finish her off. Obviously, the faster way to clear the raid is to kill bosses faster. The way to kill her faster, we used to wreck on her instead of Fairlena. And using wreck on Maxna, if you have enough DPS, helps ensure that she does not get the web spray off. It's still pretty close. You'll see the timer as I advance here. So I'll show you the timer on my DBM. But what I used to do is build threat and stay second on threat underneath Ort. And I would do that because if he didn't get shield wall off and she killed him during web spray, that way she turns to me instead and doesn't start going through DPS and killing off world buffs. We're at a point now where we pretty consistently kill her before web spray goes out. So I'm probably gonna. I'm wearing 4-piece tier 3 gear set right now, and you probably can't really see it that well, but I know that that's my icon for 4-piece tier 3 in item rack. I'm probably gonna start wearing DPS gear and just going berserker stance and DPSing with everyone else. I did not do that this week, but I'm probably gonna start doing that in the future. So Ort is going to engage from the right. You see he's over here. He's got the druid just put abolish poison on him because Maxna does put a poison dot up that reduces healing. He's going to engage from the right. All of the melee should be coming in from the left. And then that way you stay behind her and you don't parry. If you parry her too many times, she will murder the tank. And that really goes for any boss in Naxx. So you see I'm going in, I popped Blood Rage there. I popped Death Wish. Well, I didn't pop Death Wish yet. I just popped one of my trinkets. Oh, crap. I normally do pop Death Wish on her. Yeah, there it was. I'm not used to this video player. So what I normally do here, if you look at the threat meter, he's got a pretty sizable lead, but we just started the fight. So the sizable lead is only about 5,000 threat, which is that's like one crit bloodthirst and I'll pass him up. So I typically do not open with bloodthirst on Maxna or really any boss that I'm trying to chase threat on. Just spam heroic strike. There's a couple reasons you want to do that. And again, this is not just for Maxna. This is anytime you're trying to chase threat. If you fall too far behind, start throwing in bloodthirsts. Otherwise, just heroic strike. For one, because when you're spamming heroic strike, your offhand, your main hand is always turning into yellow, and your offhand can't miss. It can still glance, but it can't miss. And in with world buffs out and really good gear, your offhand is going to generate a lot of rage, and you can pretty much keep up heroic strike indefinitely. And heroic strike threat is very predictable. Even if heroic strike crits, the added threat that heroic strike gives you does not double. So the threat from the damage obviously goes up, but it is miles different than if you crit with a bloodthirst, for example. So on Maxna, there's been times where I've been the off tank or the chase tank on her, and I've only cast bloodthirst once or twice the entire fight because I don't want to pass that tank up. And you'll see, I think I do crit one. I'll show you here, but you'll see me catch up to him in threat, and at some point I get really close. Just stop bloodthirsting. So you can see right here, my bloodthirst is still off course. There, I just cast one. I crit. Oh, big crit. 2,500, and I zoomed right up underneath of him. So right there, just that one crit. And don't forget, when you're off tanking or you're chasing threat or whatever you want to call it, you're trying to stay second. The main tank is getting parried and you're not. So it's very easy with world buffs out and Naxx gear to overtake the main tank in threat. You have to pay attention. You can cause a wipe if you pull threat. So here, oh, and I got put on the wall this week. I forgot about that. And I did call it out in Discord. So I'm going to pause it right here. So typically, I would keep heroic striking, and I would keep my threat right around there. I'd stay about 70%, but it also depends on the warriors below me. So if the warriors below me are catching up to me, I might throw in another bloodthirst and try to get closer to, I like to stay between 70 and 90% of Ort's threat. This week I totally forgot I got put on the wall. That hasn't happened in forever. So I'm kind of out of the fight at this point, but she's already at 40%. Her web spray timer here says 18 seconds. You probably can't read that. So we'll see where she ends up. And we don't have wreck, we just have Death Wish. So all the warriors are Death Wished. She's at 10% web sprays in 5 seconds. She dies at web sprays, has like 6 seconds left. So now they're getting people off the wall, including me. pretty easy fight when you don't have to worry about web spray, that is. So I'm going to advance this. We're going to Noth. So the gargoyles. So the way that we do the gargoyles, and I state this in the document, but I'm going to say it for the video as well. I'm going to say that probably 80% of tanking in any capacity, a 5-man, 10-man, which is really just UBRS in this version of the game, any raid, any situation that you're in, probably 80% of tanking is rage management and positioning. The rotation for Fury Prot is not that difficult. If you can't press Bloodthirst every 10 seconds and keep Heroic Strike queued up, you probably should go play a different class. You might want to just quit playing the game, obviously, because it's a very simple rotation. You're not really pressing shield block a ton. And I'm saying saying that as, you know, like, you're the main tank, you're getting hit, you're getting a lot of rage, you're using your abilities, spending that rage. Being a tremendous tank is a lot harder than just being, because then we start talking about cooldown management, the trinkets, last stand, when do you put on a shield versus when do you not. But just doing the rotation is not that difficult. Holding threat is not super difficult. You can get unlucky with parries, but if you're geared similarly to the raid, meaning if you're running in one of our BWL runs and we let you main tank and you're wearing BWL gear, you're gonna have a bad night, because our melee and our caster groups are Naxx geared, and they've been Naxx geared for some of them for years. So you're not equally geared. If you're equally geared to your raid and you're not holding threat, you really need to look at what you're doing. It's really not that difficult. The difficult part of tanking is managing your rage and making sure, because as Fury Prot you lose a few talents from both the arms tree and the prot tree that help you manage your rage, but also reduce the costs of some of your abilities. Bloodthirst is 30 rage. That's a lot. That's 30% of your rage bar if you're at 100. And people who've been playing warrior for a long time, especially if you're a DPS warrior, there's this major aversion to having a full rage bar. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the thing is with that. It's like if you're close to 100 rage, you feel like you're wasting it, or you're, which sometimes that can be the case. But if you're pushing all of your buttons and everything is on cooldown and you're still at 80 rage or 90 rage or whatever, there's really nothing you can do about that. I mean, as a tank, there's things you can do to dump rage, but as a Fury Warrior, if you're in almost Bisque gear, you're gonna be at high rage a lot. But as a Fury Prot tank, you don't have anger management, so your rage decays out of combat very quickly. You don't have any, you can spec into improved Heroic Strike, which makes Heroic Strike a few points cheaper, but you don't have improved Sunder Armor. You don't have any of the set bonuses that make Revenge free. I forget which set bonus it is. Shield Slam is only 20 rage versus 30 for Bloodthirst. So you need to be very aware and play smart when it comes to your rage management. So you'll see, and we try to pull trash that in that fashion in our runs. And what I mean by that is we will actively tell people, rage up. We're getting ready to pull right after this. Mana looks good. Rage up. Like if you look at you can see right here, I've got a weak aura that shows mana. I'm not the raid leader, Ort is, but he has a weak aura just like this, and he will look at it and make a decision about, do we pull in 10 seconds, or do we pull in 15, or do we pull in 20, or do we just not pull at all? We just say in Discord, we're going. Sometimes we don't put a pull timer up. I think for Noth we didn't. We're just waiting on people to get in the room, and then we go. But with the gargoyles particularly, they put a debuff on you that helps you hold your rage, because it's giving you damage every couple of seconds. But I just wanted to talk through that, because you'll notice at several points throughout this video, and I'll probably bring it up again, that there are times where I'm not using abilities because I don't need to. So if I'm on a trash pool that's 2 pools before the boss, like Four Horsemen is a great example. There's a lot of guilds that sit in front of the doors of Four Horsemen for a solid 30 to 60 seconds before the pool, and your rage is going to be gone. If you have 100 rage, it's gone. So there's times where I'll run in and Bloodthirst on a trash pack, and then I don't cast Bloodthirst the rest of that trash pack. I'm either cleaving or I'm casting a Heroic Strike and Revenge, and that's it, because I'm trying to stack rage up. I can cast almost 3 Heroic Strikes to 1 Bloodthirst. And if you don't need the threat, don't cast the ability on the trash. On bosses, you should be casting it every ability all the time, no matter what. On trash, you need to be smart. Okay, so here's Noth. So on Noth, I'm going to run in. He's a Clothy. He's tank and spank. I'm not going to use Stone Shield. You should use Stone Shield on almost every boss in this raid except for the caster bosses. Like, you don't really need it on Hygen. You don't really need it on Gothic. You don't really need it on Noth. I don't use it on Four Horsemen. It would probably be helpful in Four Horsemen, but there's other potions you can use, which I'll talk about when we get there. Every other boss, you should be using Stone Shield. I don't use it here because, and you'll see my little icon pops up. He just crit the crap out of me right in the beginning. That's the only reason my health dipped that low. But this is just a burn. We're all Death Wishing. You can see every warrior has Death Wish up. We don't keep Death Wish for Hygen, and we still kill him. You'll see in just a second. Look at my threat. I'm miles ahead. Now I'm going to start saving Bloodthirst here in a second. I cast it there, and then I think right here is where I'll start saving it in case he blinks. Because he does blink away, he's going to die, though. So, we typically do not kill Noth that fast. He usually does blink right near the end of his health bar. It's on a timer, and I forget what the timer is. But we will call it out in Discord and say, mages get ready to lip, which is a limited invulnerability potion. Or we'll say, paladins get ready to bop a mage. When he blinks in random directions around the room. And I will usually start pooling rage and save my Bloodthirst, because if he blinks away, let's say he blinks to this corner, I can sometimes get to him, and if I get a crit Bloodthirst, I can usually pull off of that ignite from the mage. And again, I don't need the threat. If you looked at look at that. I'm 50% above the next person, which is a warlock. And the only reason the warlock's that high is because they're casting Searing Pain. All of the warriors are more than 50% below me on threat. And I'm using my threat gear on him. And I do that every week, even though I don't have to. I don't need it for the threat. I do it because I want to be able to hit as hard as possible for that snap threat, right? Because I know those warriors are coming with Death Wish. I mean, if we go back, I don't know why this video player is all of a sudden locking up. Watch my weak aura, how quickly they're right on my tail, and they're immediately blowing Death Wish. So I only get a few seconds to get a lead and then keep it. But like, let's say this is a non-DMF week and we're not really pushing hard, which those days don't really exist anymore, but if he blinks and he blinks back into the caster group, there's not a whole lot I can do. He's probably going to reach the mage before I get there, in which case the mage is going to lip or get a bop. If he blinks over here or over here or over here, I can probably get to him and at least get a Heroic Strike and a Bloodthirst off and try to get threat back. And you see me spamming Battle Shout. See, I'm spamming Battle Shout. That's my filler. I can't Sunder because we have IEA up on the boss. And you don't want to Sunder anyway because Sunder is garbage for threat. I just drank so right there, the reason I didn't Stone Shield on Noth is I tank Lotheb, and I just drank a greater Shadow Protection potion because none of this trash or Hygen do shadow damage. So I'm drinking the Shadow Protection potion there so that when I get to Lotheb, I can use a Stone Shield. Because I want that for Inevitable Doom. So if you're the Lotheb tank, you need to, as soon as Noth dies, or I think his curse does shadow damage, so I always wait till he dies. But your pot cooldown will be up. You'll see. We run through here. We kill all this. So I do not tank Hygen. I chase threat on him. But again, I'm probably in future weeks going to swap to DPS gear right there. And just I DPS Hygen anyway. I just either do it in D stance or I do it in Berserker stance without salvation on. Just in case the main tank happens to die, but that hasn't happened to us in forever, so I'm probably just going to quit doing it and just DPS. And I'm just leaving this trash portion in because it's very short and Hygen's coming up next. So the main tank for Hygen is going to do the safety dance. We're talking in Discord obviously about when we're getting ready to pull. There's a tail coming around. We're going to kill this trash and then we're going to go. So you need to have your item rack equipment, all your stuff set to go. I just put on my Mark of the Dead, or Mark of the Champion, I mean. So the main tank's going to pull him back away from the platform. All the range and the heals go to the platform, and you'll see the eruptions happening. And then the main tank will move. So where that eruption just happened is now a safe zone. Now, one thing about Hygen, you see Ort is kind of running sideways, like he's kind of strafing. Hygen sometimes will stop. Like if you run and you're the main tank, like he's got a pretty good threat lead. If Hygen runs and stops and starts to cast, do not run back to him. Because if you do and you go start walking back again, he might stay where he is and it might take him a second or two to follow you. And you're going to leave the raid behind and they're going to get hit by an eruption. Or if the raid realizes what's happening and they move into the save zone, they can't, you're losing DPS time. So when you're the main tank and you're moving, you keep moving until you get where you need to go and you stop. Don't worry about what Hygen's doing. He will catch up to you. So you see I'm in Berserker stance. I just don't have salvation on. And I'm not second on threat. I'm actually way down below. I didn't get a gear swap. I'm lucky I got the trinket swap. But like I said, I'm gonna swap to and I'm not blowing any cooldowns either. Nobody has Death Wish and I'm not using MRP or anything because I need to have Stone Shield up. He dies right here anyway. So in our run as the main tank, you only need to go across once. Every once in a while you might have to go back one spot and he'll die here. We don't ever have to do the safety dance or phase 2 or whatever it's called. So now Lotheb, I'm going to let the raid run ahead. I'm going to drop combat and I'm going to get ready for my flask set. So you see me mousing over my sets. So I'm going to swap to mitigation gear. Right there. And then I'm going to swap to flask. Now the way that my macro, there's 2 different ways to do the macro and I'm not going to go into a great deal explaining it, but one way is to just automatically use your Eye of the Dead trinket, then use Diamond Flask and then swap sets. And the other is to toggle the previous set you had on, which is the macro that I use. Either macro is fine. I use the toggle macro just because that's what I got used to and that's just what I keep using. But there is a macro that you can do that will automatically cast Eye of the Dead, cast Diamond Flask, and then swap to a specified item rack set, and it works really well. And here I think I don't remember if it was this week or last week I made a mistake and I targeted Lotheb and it swapped my trinket out. And I had to swap it back. So make sure if you have a weak aura that automatically swaps your trinket like I do, don't either target Lotheb and then swap the trinket in. That's why I just told Orc give me 30 seconds. So if you have a flask, if you don't have a flask set, obviously you just tank Lotheb normally. If you do have a flask set, what you want to do is get a PI from a priest about 10 seconds before the pull. You hit your macro. It'll cast Eye of the Dead, cast Diamond Flask. Then it will swap your gear. And then the healers need to top you up on the way in. You don't want to run in with half health. And then Diamond Flask still has maybe 3 seconds to heal you. And then Lotheb chunks you down. If you're going to start pulling Lotheb with a flask set, the healers need to know that when you tell them, like, I'm going to get a PI at 10 seconds, then I'm going to hit my macro. Around 0.5 to 1 second after that, I need to have a heal landing on me. Whether that's a flash heal, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter what their mana is because they're not going to be able to heal anyway for this fight. We use a flask set here, and I don't have a full Biss flask set, but I'm pretty close to it. We have some healers that stand outside the gate. Those healers stay outside the gate because they are going to be the healers for the trash, so we don't have to wait after Lothab dies. So I'm going to run in. You'll see that I get healed. I think a few hots might even get put on me. And then I get topped up and when I reach Lothab. And when you reach him, then you're going to Stone Shield. And I'm going to start dual wielding, but I'm not going to Death Wish. So I'm going to stay dual wielding for a little while to build up threat. And then after I build a sufficient threat lead, then I swap to a shield. So right around 10 seconds, I'll get a PI. I'm mousing over my flat. So there's my PI, moused over my flask. Okay, look at my health. I swapped. I just got a huge heal from Galahad. It was probably Lay on Hands. He just got Lay on Hands buff. So now I'm full health. I'm blood raged. I got Diamond Flask up. I'm going in. I'm dual wielding. The melee are all over here stacked, waiting for me. I'm going to grab him. And what you want to do is you'll see when I grab him, I turn him to face this wall over here on my left. And then I walk him back to the door a little bit. If you stand in the middle of the room, the spore spawn location is going to be kind of random. If you pull him back and stand him right around this area, the spore will either spawn behind him here or where the melee are. So you can control where the spore spawns by where you pull Lothab. So watch now watch, see I kind of pull him back a little bit towards the door. Now the spore spawn will either be at this gate or this gate, and that's it. So the melee always know to look in those two spots, and that's all they have to do. So now I'm dual wielding. I'm watching the threat. I have a Stone Shield up, I think. Yeah, I just drank a Stone Shield. I got a lot of buffs going, so I'm managing my buffs through my Cancelora macros. And I'm going to watch my health. On Lothab, you need to pay attention. So I do have a weak aura here that shows me who's on cooldown. So let's just watch. And you can't see the raid chat, but I do have a raid warning that goes out and tells the healers when there's 2 seconds before the next Diamond Flask heal. My Diamond Flask is healing for, I think, over 2k. Let's see. 1532. That doesn't seem right, but did it all because it was overhealing maybe. Let's see if we can get another one. It should be around 2k. So I'm staying dual wield. I just took a big hit there. 1532 again. 1533. Yeah, that doesn't seem right, but whatever. Now I put a shield on. So I've got a pretty good lead. When the spores go out, that whoever has, and you can see in the raid frames too, people that have the spore debuff, this orange and red debuff, they no longer generate threat. So I don't know why the Warlock didn't get it, if they missed it or whatever, or if they get it at a later point. But once the first couple of melee groups get the spore, then you can swap to shield. And you're still going to want to pump threat, but you're much more focused on mitigation. I'm shield blocking every cooldown. I'm bloodthirsting if I have the rage for it. If I don't have the rage for it, I wait. But I want to shield block as many cooldowns as possible. You don't want to get crushed or crit. Okay, I'm still just blocking. Keep demo shout up. That's why I keep an eye on right here. I'm watching offensives, my rage, and my debuffs on the boss. Right here, I think I blow. Yep, Healthstone. Used a Healthstone. We're close to the end. I'm debating on using Last Stand. I don't have any. Nope, I used it right there. Okay. So that's where having add-ons like incoming. That's what incoming heal. If you look. What is wrong with this video player? I mean, come on. Is it made by? This is an incoming heal indicator. That lets me know that somebody is healing me and how much that heal is expected to land for. So you can see right here, I've got none, none, none. So this is why I'm blowing Last Stand, and I still don't have one. I think that we were waiting on somebody was waiting on a cooldown. There's a heal coming in. And then you just run out and go out the gate. That's Lotheb. Next we do military. So we run out and immediately start pulling military. And we do it with just partial healers. What is going on with this player, dude? Okay, we're clearing stables. So Resuvius. Priests MC the understudies. There's 4 understudies. You can see an angry area. We have a tank assignment for each understudy, except for the one that gets MC'd right off the bat, which is X. What happens is a priest runs. So when Resuvius does a big circle patrol. So as a tank, you need to understand how this pull happens, which is why I'm explaining it. Resuvius will walk around and he'll stop and talk to these understudies or yell at them, whatever he's doing. When he gets around this area, the priest will run down and mind soothe that understudy so they can get close. And they sit right on this corner and they'll call out when they're casting it. They're going to cast it when when either at this understudy or going to this understudy. So when he's on this side of the room, they're going to MC, and as soon as the MC lands, you're going to see Resuvius come running over, and you're going to get put in combat. You do not want to Blood Rage or Battle Shout or cast anything. Treat it like Cthulhu. You just want to run in and grab. My mob is Star. I'm going to run in and grab Star. Sometimes I put a shield on, sometimes I don't. You don't want to DPS down this thing. You just want to hold it for a second. So the way that we do this is all the priests MC all 4 of these at the same time. We don't do an old school rotation where, you know, the first one gets MC'd and then the second one gets MC'd and then we hold the other 2 on standby. We don't do that anymore. We MC all 4 of them and all 4 of them get held and they do a taunt rotation because we burn the crap out of him. So you'll see me grab Star, I bring it over here and I hold it for the priest to be in range to MC. When they MC it, I swap to Berserker stance, I blow Death Wish, and I start DPSing. That's what all the tanks should be doing. So right there you see he's coming over, but right now he only has social aggro. If anyone in this raid casts anything, he's going to run at the raid and you're probably going to wipe. Don't cast anything. Just run up and taunt is all you need to do. Don't cast Demo Shout. Don't cast Sunder Armor. You don't want to debuff this understudy because he's going to be tanking Resuvius. 1 Sunder Armor is probably not the end of the world, but you don't even need to do that. Just run up with right click it, auto attack it, taunt it, and that's all you need to do. And you'll hold threat. All you're holding off is healing aggro. That's it. So see right there, I got a Thunder Fury proc, I got 2 white crits, I got a million threat compared to everybody else. I got my shield on, I'm backing him up. Cast Revenge if you want, not a big deal. Don't cast Demo. You can cast Battle Shout now. Okay, so Resuvius is in position. That circle just got MC'd. Now these 2 are going to get MC'd, and then all the warriors are going to run over. Normally they're a little bit quicker than this, but it's fine. So there, that one got MC'd. The priests, you can see all the priests are stacked here. Now all 4 of these understudies are going to be here. Now I'm going to swap back to my dual wield. There we go. Death Wish. Resuvius is already at 60%. If they get a resist, a taunt resist, they call it out. We throw dummies down. The whole raid of warriors throws dummies down. So Resuvius at 20%, everybody's DPSing him. He's going down super fast. Now, sometimes MCs break. You do need to watch and see if your mark leaves and runs back to the raid. You need to stop and either intercept it and then swap stances and taunt it. But you are still responsible for that mark. Another thing is don't pull threat. You can see the Death Knight understudies, Ignite. Like there's a lot of people here, you know, pulling up on threat. You can pull off the understudies. It is possible. Especially if you're a tank. I don't have salve. So if you're a tank and you're DPSing, just be careful. Now we're going to get the understudies. Everybody's sappering, goblin sapper charges. Now I was getting ready to throw a dynamite on accident. Now we're moving up to the next pool. Going to Gothic. Okay, Gothic. There's a live side and a dead side. I'm not going to have a great angle of the dead side here, but we do pull trash through the fence on the dead side. Dead side hits much harder than live side as far as the trash goes. Gothic will spawn on the live side for Gothic is a pushover. The trash is the hard part. So there's boss trash, and then there's the trash that the hunter will jump up the gate and get to the other side and start pulling the trash mobs outside of the gate. So there's ghouls, there's a shade, there's gargoyles, there's 2 sets of alkalites, I think, and then another set of ghouls, and then another shade is usually about how far they get. I'm always on the live side. There's a tank on the left, a tank in the middle, and a tank on the right, and then there's I think 4 tanks assigned to the dead side. I wear my threat set, but all the other tanks are wearing. They should be wearing close to 4-piece tier 3. I'm getting a health stone from the warlock here. He just started the encounter by putting a curse up. Now he's giving me a health stone. So the way this works, I wish I could spin the camera, but you see where I was just standing. This, I'm going to have to get a different video player. I don't know what is going on with this. So all the ranged, the mages are standing there with a couple paladins. They're standing there so that they are, and there's a void walker that the warlock set up there. There's trash mobs that will charge, and you'll see them. Here's the timer for wave 1. Just build threat, or build rage. You don't need, they die. These trainees die super fast. They're not a threat at all. The rogue can one-on-one them easily. You can see health bars are dropping. That's because they're pulling trash on the other side. We kill these, and then they turn into ghosts, and they go up and over the other side and spawn as ghosts and have to get killed again. So the dead side is killing the boss trash and the next raid trash simultaneously right now. And it gets a little hectic for them. Live side is easy. So just keep your rage up. I like to stay above 50 if possible. You always want to have enough rage to it to throw at least a bloodthirst. These guys will charge. See there, they charged a void walker. Turn around and taunt. Don't let them melee any of those casters. They will get killed. Sometimes I will get charged and get stunned. But if I see them charge that group, you'll see me turn around multiple times and try to taunt and get them out of that group. And I'm also shooting my bow. I'm bringing that mob back to the other tank. Now I'm going back to my position. It's okay to leave your position a little bit, but you need to keep an eye on the spawn timer and make sure you're not letting your mob run around crazy. See, the paladins hodge that thing. So the paladins will hodge those Now these riders are primary responsibility for the middle tank. You need to get a bloodthirst, put a shield on, and help the rogue interrupt. Don't let that shadow bolt volley get cast. Our rogue is usually, I don't think Blady ever lets a shadow bolt go through, but I just in case it gets parried or dodged or something, I like to put a shield on and interrupt at the same time. Another rider. Now I'm going to cleave to get aggro on that trainee because I don't want to de-target the rider. And the trainees, like I said, they're weak. Just shooting bow, doing damage, 700 crit, no big deal. Keeping my rage up. Another rider. Shooting bow. Go taunt. They hodged. Mocking blow that one. See, those trainees die so fast. They're just you don't really want it to get crazy and let them run around, but it's not a huge deal if you don't want the riders casting shadow bolt volley, the guys on the horse here, and you don't want these other guys, you don't want them casting, they cast a whirlwind. You don't want them getting into the casters there and casting whirlwind. Okay, now the boss is going to spawn. He spawns. So an easy way for me to remember it is this shape in the floor looks kind of like a bowling pin, if you know what I mean. And Gothic always spawns right where the bowling pin meets the base. So he's going to spawn right there on the floor. That's the easy way to remember it. So I'm going to target him. I've only got about 50 rage. I kind of screwed up. I like to end with about 100, but I'm going to blow blood rage. You can see the timer. It's at 12 seconds. I'm going to death wish, and I held Kiss of the Spider for the trash. I should have put weapon stones on earlier, but I'm redoing it now. See, he spawns right there where right where the base is. You don't need a stone shield on him. You can if you want. He just shadow bolts, so it's probably not going to help, but refreshing gift to Arthas. So he gets about 50%. The other tank will taunt. So that's why it doesn't matter if you're dead side tank. So this pile, there's a pile here, there's a pile here, and there's a pile here. That's where the ghost will spawn, those 4 locations when they come over. You can be in chonky gear as the second tank because you're taunting off of the main tank anyway. So if you look at Hundal's threat, his threat is massive because he just taunted and got all of my threat. He could be wearing mitigation gear, which is not a great idea, but that you get the point. You don't need to be in threat gear unless you're the starting tank for Gothic. And even then, I only wear that because the mages are so insane with Ignite. So now we get to run through this section. I'm going to skip ahead. We get to run almost all the way to 4 horsemen. This group of acolytes are the only things left. So I got 79 rage. I was trying to get up to 100, but I didn't. But you want to have some rage. I do have blood rage. I'm holding it for right now. I'm refreshing my buffs. I'm going to swap to Mograine. So 4 horsemen is a very difficult fight for a lot of guilds. It's a very technical fight. There's ways to make it easier. The problem with 4 horsemen is one person doesn't do their job on the healer. I mean, really anybody can screw it up for the raid, but if you're a healer or a tank and you screw it up, you're probably going to wipe. Now, there's ways to mitigate that, and that's kind of the point of this guide, right? Like, the faster you kill things, the better. And in the end, it's better to kill things faster. If it wasn't, then every tank would be deep prop, right? To take less damage, We wouldn't want to be getting crit and crushed left and right, but the healers can handle it. The healers can heal more than you think. And the healers would rather spam their abilities for 60 seconds than chug 4 mana pots over the course of 4 minutes, or 5 minutes or whatever. They're not going to run out of mana. So the way that the way that you apply that logic to the 4 horsemen is you stack Thane and Mograine, which is what we're going to do. We only do the 4 corner strat where each horseman goes to a separate corner. We only do that if the entire raid has lost world buffs. And even then, I think we're probably at a point where we wouldn't need to do that. The idea behind stacking Thane and Mograine in the same corner is the melee can cleave them down. So you start on Thane, you DPS him down until he blows Shield Wall. When he blows Shield Wall, the whole time you were DPSing him, you're casting Whirlwind and Cleave and Blade Flurry and all your every cleave ability you have. When Thane casts Shield Wall, you swap to Mograine and you burn him down until he casts Shield Wall. Then you swap back to Thane. You kill Thane, and then when Thane dies, you kill Mograine. So you take 2 horsemen out of the fight in the first 60 seconds or so of the encounter. The bonus of that is now you don't have to deal with 2 horsemen. You need much less tanks. The rotation is simpler. The downside is if your DPS is lacking at all, it can take 4 marks or 5 marks to kill Thane and Mograine. So as a tank, you need to save. So I'm burning another Frozen Rune for Mograine because he puts fire damage on you. And I'm going to put on Dark Iron Helm and Dark Iron Leggings. But I'm not going to Stone Shield. No tank should Stone Shield here. You should save your pot cooldown for Greater Shadow Protection in case you need to stay in for an extra mark. If you're not Fury Prot, make sure you have a Health Stone. Even if you are Fury Prot, make sure you have a Health Stone. But if you're Fury Prot, you can deal with marks in multiple ways. So I don't have the numbers right in front of me. I forget off the top of my head what they are. But the first mark is free. There's no damage. Second mark, I think, is 1,500 or 2,000. Third mark is 3,500 or something like that. Like it ramps up. Every time you get a mark, the damage ramps up. If you get to mark 4, you can drink a Shadow Protection Potion. If you get to mark 5, you can blow Last Stand or Shield Wall, depending on how low your health is. So there's other things you can do to survive longer. This was a very clean one. I didn't use a Shadow Protection Potion at all. But that's the strategy behind tanking these guys. So you're going to see, we're going to run in. Thane and Mograine, all 4 horsemen are grabbed right around here. All of the melee are going to blow Sapper to put damage on all 4. So you have to open with, you want to have some rage. You want to open with Taunt. You want to Bloodthirst. Use your trinkets. You can use Death Wish if you want. I don't use Death Wish. My Death Wish is on cooldown from using it on Gothic. But you'll see that the Fury Warriors use Death Wish. The Thane tank probably needs to use Death Wish, or because the Thane tank, who is, and that's another reason why we swap. That wasn't really part of the guide, but one of the reasons why the raid leader who's Ort swaps the bosses the way that we do, like I tank certain ones and he tanks certain ones, is so that we have cooldowns up. The main tank has certain cooldowns and certain things ready for every boss that they need to have those things up for. So I tanked Gothic first because I can use my Death Wish. And then here my Death Wish is down, but I'm not tanking Thane, Ort is. So Ort has his Death Wish up, if that makes sense. So, and we do that with Gluth. So I don't tank Grobulus because Gluth is a fight that happens 30 seconds after Grobulus. So Ort tanks Grobulus, uses Death Wish. I just sit back and chill and tank the slimes. On Gluth, I have my Death Wish up. So there's some other planning that goes into it too. So we're getting ready to pull. There's a couple healers that are low, but we're talking in Discord. We're going to pull in just a couple seconds. I'm waiting until my rage is about... I'm really listening to Discord and trying to get an ear for when I feel like Ort's going to pull, and then I'm going to use Blood Rage to try to stave off some of this decay. So he just... Our raid leader, Ort, has a thing where he'll say certain things. He'll say, check your marks, or he'll say, check your buffs. There's certain phrases that when he says it, I know he's about to do a pull timer. So that's why you saw me stand up and move to the front, even though there's no timer on the screen yet. So there's the timer, 8 seconds. So now Blood Rage, you see it's on cooldown. So we're going to run in. Again, blow Kiss of the Spider. Blow Bloodthirst. Sappers are going off. We're going to drag these two back. We're going to... I'm Moon or is Square. We're going to try to drag them back as close to each other as possible at the same speed. We're just backpedaling. We're not strafing. We're not turning and running and jumping and whatever. You know, we're just you just backpedal. Do what you did in 2004 in PvP. And I'm just trying to slow down a little bit. I'm just stutter stepping a little bit to try to keep them in line. We're going to the corner here and we're stopping. Now, sometimes when you get to the corner, you'll see Mulgrain. He doesn't like it. Thane does it too, I think. They will sidestep you. I don't know exactly what's going on with that. If it's because we're stacked on each other, you'll see Mulgrain kind of step over to my right and then face me. And then sometimes I try to walk him out and come back. Sometimes I just let him do his thing. See, he kind of sidestepped me there a little bit, but just, now he's moving back. I'm just moving my camera. So they're stacked on each other. Now, you really, unless you're in Discord, you don't know what's happening, but you can see that they've DPS'd him down the shield wall. Now they're swapping back to Thane. So Thane's at 31% and Mulgrain's at 43%. And then we do have a melee group on Sir Z. I think we have 2 or 3 warriors and maybe a rogue, or maybe it's 2 warriors and a rogue, I forget. And then I think there might be a mage or 2 over there as well, some ranged. So Lady B is at 88, she's the highest. Sir Z's already at 54, because those guys are blowing, I think, Deathwish and Wreck. Or maybe just Deathwish, I don't know. I think they're out of range of my weak aura. But we just started the pool, and we already have all 4 horsemen probably collectively around the 60% mark for hit points. So I'm watching my timers. There's Mark 3 coming. If Mark 4 happens, that's usually when I will pot. So that horse, Thane dies. Now his ghost will still put out marks, but the mark timer resets. So he's not going to put out Mark 3. He's getting ready to put out Mark 1, which is free. But he does melee. So if you're a melee on this fight and you're doing the burn strat and you're getting hit, you need to step over here on the back right leg of Mulgrain and stay out of melee range. I'll even sometimes sidestep and try to get Mulgrain to follow me to get away from the horse, from Thane. There, he's dead. He's basically dead. We are on Mark 3. So I have 2 marks of one and 3 marks of the other one. And I'm basically at full hit points, so I'm not going to use a Shadow Protection Potion. Everybody's running away. They don't want to get meleeed by the ghosts. Okay. So we're at 3 marks of each. So that's pretty good. You can do 4 marks. You could even do 5 marks, and as long as everybody has a Hellstone and a Shadow Protection Potion, they will survive. You just have to be smart and pay attention. So now I'm running to Lady B. So now what happens is Ort goes and relieves the Sir Z tank. Sir Z's at 44%. That tank has probably got 3 or 4 marks on them. He's going to go over to the right corner to relieve them. I'm coming to this left corner over here to relieve the Lady B tank. And then these mobs are going to die in this one rotation. So I'm calling out in Discord, taunting. I'm going to taunt her, and since we have all this melee here, I know she's going to put a Void Zone on melee. I know for a fact she will. So I'm going to pull her to the corner, and I'm going to get her in a spot where I can pull her around the corner. I can either go this way. There, she already put one down. I can either go this way or I can go this way. So you can see we're DPS, her shield wall's up, we're just DPSing through it. There's a void zone. I'm going to pull her around. I'm going to let the melee come around me. Now I'm going to go to the other side. She's going to die right here anyway. Okay, she's dead. Now, Sir Z's alive. He's at 13%. People die on Lady B to void zones all the time. I don't want to say don't pay attention to your marks. You do want to pay attention to your marks, but you have to look at the ground. Cersei, I think, dies right as soon as I get over here. Yeah, Cersei just died. Okay. So how much easier is that than, you know, you have 6 tanks running around or 7 tanks running around. Go to the safe zone, go here, go there. Admittedly, this is a DMF week, but like I said, this is our strategy every week. We do the same strat every week. The only difference is how fast those horsemen die. So instead of Lady B dying on, you know, on Mark 3, it might have been Mark 4 instead. Or maybe I got relief on Lady B from another tank and then I run to the safe zone or go relieve Cersei for, you know, 10 seconds. But it greatly reduces the complexity of the fight for tanks and healers. So now we go to A-Bomb Wing, I think. Yep. I'm gonna skip all this trash. So Patchwork hits very hard. Okay, so Patchwork. There's a couple things. If you are the main tank, I have a Patchwork main tank set and I have a Patchwork Soaker set. If you are soaking Hatefuls on Patchwork, you are going to wear a shield 100% of the time and you're going to be in probably very close to full mitigation. And I explain a lot of this in the document, but full mitigation does not mean full tier 3. Tier 3 gloves and tier 3 belt are trash. You don't even need them. Don't waste the Arcanite bars on them. I have them in my bank, but I don't ever pull them out anymore. And if I had known back then what I know now, I would not have used points to get them. When it comes to gear selection, unless it's a stat that's on your shield itself, you do not want shield block value or shield block rating. Those stats scale incredibly terribly, and they're not good. Now, I do put 2% blocking on my shield, but I only do that because I don't do that for Patchwork. I don't even soak on Patchwork. I do that for trash. And the reason I do is because when you put a shield on, there's only 2 options on there's really 3 options on your shield. Either a shield spike, which is a terrible option, because for 1, the shield spike uses a buff slot. For 2, it's just a terrible option. You don't need the threat. You don't need the damage. You know, you can sit there and just try to justify on paper how much damage you put out in Scarlet Monastery with 1 on. That's fine. But in Naxx, if you're a Naxx tank, quit doing stupid shit. Your only 2 options on a shield are either stamina or 2% blocking. So stamina on a shield is, on this fight by itself, stamina as a soaker is the better enchant. So if you have 2 Faces of Death, sure, put stamina on one and put 2% blocking on the other one. If you only have 1 Face of Death, my opinion is that 2% blocking is better. And the reason why is because Face of Death already comes with 3% block. So with the enchant, you're adding 5% block. When you're doing trash, most of the time you're going to put a shield on, unless it's Lotheb or Saffron or, you know, Patchwork soaking. You're putting a shield on because you either took a big crit from a boss. Let's say KT just crit you for 6k and you go, "Oh shit, I'm going to put a shield on and hit shield block." The reason you're hitting shield block is because that guarantees that you cannot be crit or crushed for the next 2 swings if you have improved shield block. You can still get hit and block, and the block is going to be terrible. It's going to only take, 180 damage off of a 3,000 hit or whatever. But it guarantees that it's a 3,000 hit, not a 6k crit or a 4,500 crush, right? So in that specific situation, block is very good for those few seconds. If you get hit that hard and you put the shield on and your shield has 7 stamina on it, that 7 stamina for those few seconds is doing absolutely nothing for you. Because when you change gear in combat or out of combat, the stamina is not added to your hit point pool. You have to make up the deficit first. And if you don't understand what I mean, then go out in Stormwind and put on your DPS gear and then swap to your mitigation gear and look at your health overall, and it's going to go up by a few thousand, and your hit points, your active hit point pool, is still sitting where it was when you were in DPS gear. You don't magically get that stamina. It's a deficit. Once you get healed to 100%, then the stamina becomes valuable. So, 2% block on your shield, when you put the shield on as an oh shit moment, that 2% block is basically saying, I now have 2% less chance to be crit or crushed. And to me, that's more valuable than 7 stamina that doesn't do anything for me. Now, again, if you're going to start a boss fight with a shield on at 100% health, the argument certainly can be made that stamina is better. But again, I'm going to say this. Stop reading what someone wrote on Reddit or what someone wrote in a guide and taking it as gospel. Don't even take what I'm saying as gospel. Just use your brains. If what I'm saying makes sense to you and your understanding of game mechanics, and it makes sense to your understanding of how the game works, that's all you need to know. You don't need some YouTube tank telling you what to do. Use your brains, okay? Now, all that being, and I'm going to get off my soapbox. Now, Patchwork, as I said, hits very hard. There's a few saving graces here. If you're a soaker, that means you're soaking Hateful Strikes. Hateful Strikes cannot crit or crush. So, and it's a good thing because they would probably one-shot you. Because of that, you do not care about block chance or block value whatsoever. You do not have to push shield block if you don't want to, if you're rage starved as a soaker. And again, there's going to be people that probably watch this video and want to argue with me. I'm not going to argue with you. I understand how the mechanics of this game work. And go back and look in your logs and see, someone's going to say, oh, well, I pressed shield block in our 4-minute Patchwork kill, and I blocked a total of 180 damage per, Hateful Strike, and that added up to be 12,000 damage I avoided. Okay, cool. Good for you. That still doesn't mean squat, because if you think that way, that means that you think that shield block is worth 12,000 hit points, and it's not. You got to think about snapshots in time. Am I going to die in this hit? Yes or no? That's all that matters. When Patchwork hatefuls you and you're at 50% health, a block is not going to help you. 50% health, if that means you're at 7k health or 6k health, you might survive, you might not. A shield block is not going to help you. 200 damage, unless it just so happens that he's going to overkill you by 200 and you blocked. In which case, then I would say, okay, yeah, then the shield block did save you, but not that one single shield block saved you, not all 20 of them that you cast throughout the whole fight. What can save you is stamina food plus stamina enchants plus world buffs plus power word shield plus, priest tier 3 bonus, absorbs, high armor, stone shield, all the things that add up, having tier 3 gloves on and tier 3 belt on for extra block value is very, very likely to not save you. Now that said, there's another reason why I don't like those pieces of gear, and it's because you still need threat. As an off tank, as a hateful tank, I'm gonna show now, and this video is for my guild. This is not for any other guild or any other, people that take 10 minutes to kill Patch. If that's the case, more power to you. Your healers are amazing. You should buy them all steak dinners. This is for our kill times, our mages, our warriors. This is how we tank against our stuff. You need to output threat as a hateful tank. There's some people that think you can just soak hatefuls in the threat, because there is a threat component of the hateful strike. And if you don't believe me, go look at your logs. You are wrong. There is a threat component every time you get hit with a hateful strike. I think it's 800 threat. You get threat from getting hit. But that is not enough. You do need to output threat. You need the bloodthirst. You need to be using cooldowns, trinkets. You can't just wear 100% mitigation gear. And the beauty of it is, since defense basically does nothing for you as a soaker tank, since crits and crushes don't matter, misses matter, but you don't want to stack defense just for misses. You can wear pieces like Steadfast Determination, or you can wear Girdle of the Mentor, or the Karaji Belt. You can wear pieces that are a hybrid of threat and defense, and not just stack defense. In fact, you don't want to stack defense. You want to have high armor and high hit points as much as possible, without having too much of your eye level allocated to stats that don't matter, like defense, block chance, block rating, etc. As the main tank, you are going to have to hold off Ignite. Now, Patchwork is very easy to main tank because he hits so fast. He hits extremely fast because he's basically dual wielding. I think his swing timer is I think it actually is 1.5 seconds, honestly. It's either 1.5, I'll have to look it up, but you'll see in the video. He hits very quickly. Now, you do need to mitigate as much of that damage as possible. He does not hit nearly as hard, obviously, as a Hateful Strike. But I have died as the main tank several times on Patchwork by making poor gear choices. You should not just be wearing Conquerors and that's it. You want to be wearing at least 4-piece tier 3. Maybe throw on a chunky ring or two. Because you can always Death Wish if you have to. I don't Death Wish on Patchwork as the main tank. But you can Death Wish if you need to. You're going to want to have Stone Shield up, but you also could make the choice to MRP instead if you want to wear a little bit more chunky gear. So you can make other choices that are active choices. And you can put a shield on as well. I do put a shield on sometimes if my healers are having a hard time keeping up with my health. I'll put a shield on for 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, let them catch me up to 100%, and then I'll go back to dual wielding. And I also shield, you'll see at the very end when he enrages. Now, all the tanks need to stack on each other. We're talking in Discord right now. I'm looking at my consumes. I'm getting ready to refresh Firewater. You want to get your rage up to 100. Now, Patchwork is coming back down the hall. The melee are all going to dip. This is all basic stuff. There's a bunch of rats here. There's 1 or 2 rats around the corner, and there's some other rats up the other way. And I don't... this is a thing that was never a thing until... I think I was a soaker one time. It was just like a year ago. I was soaking Patchwork, and I was just having terrible time, like, getting a Bloodthirst off, in the very beginning. And I would start falling behind on threat, and I had to Death Wish, or I'd have to do, And then one day I was just like, hey, why aren't we hitting these rats and raging up on the rats? And now we do it every time. And I don't know that other tanks do this. And put on it, so like I'm putting on Ashbringer, put on a 2-hander, look at that. I put on a 2-hander and got 57 rage in 1 hit. If you have a 2-hander in your bags as a tank, don't run up and hit it with THC and then kill 6 of them to get, 50 rage. Swing once, and if you have a mom, a Might of Menethil, I think one of the warriors told me you can get almost a full rage bar if you have a mom. So you see, they just killed a bunch of rats. Now I'm going to go over and kill one. Bam, full rage bar, 2 rats. Now I'm going to swap back to my weapons. We're going to stack. So the way this pool works, I'm going to explain it. I'm going to try. I know I'm spending a lot of time on this fight. I'm sorry, but this fight is all about the pool. 100%. Patch is going to come up here and stop. You see the melee are really far away. A lot of them have dipped. Their health is down. Some of them still need to dip. The mages are standing here. The healers are standing back here as well. The melee stand this far back for a few reasons. One is they're popping chickens, and you can see someone here is popping one. They're popping chickens and swapping trinkets, and that's going to give their chickens time to engage without parrying Patchwork. You don't want to have this dude get parried a lot. What's going to happen is, and there's a rogue here, I think, ready to distract. So he's going to walk up, probably get distracted, and then the tanks are going to pull, and I'm going to pull Patchwork. The main tank should always pull Patchwork, period. Don't, if you're an off tank, you stand there. You build up get your rage to 100, walk up here, wait for the main tank. If your rage is decaying, use Blood Rage, but you just stand there and you don't do shit. You don't cast Bloodthirst or excuse me, Battle Shout, or you. If you're going to use Blood Rage, use it before Patchwork gets pulled. And same goes for melee. I've seen multiple times where Patch is standing here. I shoot a bow at him and I throw a dynamite. Actually, I throw dynamite first, and while the dynamite is in the air, I will shoot my bow. There's times where the dynamite gets resisted and the bow shot misses, and one of these guys casts Battle Shout or Blood Rage. Patchwork will turn and run to them. And that's basically going to end up in a wipe unless somebody does something smart in the next half a second. Again, this is just like Cthulhu. Stand there and don't do anything. So now I'm going to get in a position and the other tanks are going to stack on me. We're going to stack because when he gets to me, if I'm the only one there in range, he's going to melee me and hateful me at the same time. All the tanks need to be stacked on top of each other 100%. He's going to reach me. He's going to start... I'm going to immediately be on the top of his threat, so that means I should not get a hateful unless I'm the only one in range. He will hateful one of these two guys. About 1.5 seconds in, you'll see these two guys peel off and go left, which will face Patchwork against the wall. That puts his back to the melee. They should be arriving around that time. And then I'm right here perpendicular to him, and I'm going to slide to the right just a few steps to take parry off the table. So we're talking in Discord. What I'm doing here, if you're the main tank, is look at your shoot button. A second ago it was red, meaning I was out of range. I scooted up just a touch until it was in range, and then I tell the tanks, okay, stack. Now they're getting inspiration up. You see all these heals happening? The raid leader says, get inspiration on your tanks. You want inspiration up before you pull. I just got a rejuve, and then I'm going to say pulling. When I say pulling, everybody stops what they're doing. It doesn't really matter if the healers are casting because overheal does not count, does not create threat. So here's my dynamite, and then you're going to see me shoot my bow. I think he resists both, actually. Let's see. Resist. So he resisted the dynamite, and then I got 248 for the bow. Now, I'm not going to Death Wish, but I am going to use Kiss of the Spider. So I already drank my Stone Shield. I drank the Stone Shield. That gives you a little bit of threat, but it also makes sure that you have it up before he reaches you. And then I'm going to start Bloodthirsting and Heroic Striking like crazy. He parried my first one, of course. I'm going to blow Last Stand here. I just ate a Hateful. You see 69, 62, and 282 absorbed. That was in part, I think, a Power Word Shield, or it might have been Armor of Faith. So this is the pull. Now you see, if he hadn't parried my Bloodthirst, it would have been a better pull. But this is what the threat meter should look like. Main tank on top, next two tanks, and then everybody else. Now, once I've got threat, now I can keep it pretty easily because, for one, I've got full world buffs, and you can see I just crit like 5 abilities in a row. But for 2, I stand behind his left foot here, and I take parry off the table. If you take parry off the table as a main tank on Patchwork, you are not... I'm going to have a full rage bar most of the fight. You're never going to run out of rage. It's just basically like fighting Veil. And he can't parry any of my abilities. So all I have to worry about now is basically dodge, which is a very low chance. So what that means is I'm going to crit a lot. I'm going to crit probably 50% of these abilities. Like legitimately 50%. I'm still going to get glances, but you're going to see a lot of crits. Now the off tanks, they're just doing the same thing. They're standing over here stacked on each other because Patchwork will face whoever he's hateful striking. He does not face the main tank. And now it's all on the healers. So now the mage is see there's Ignite. There's the Ignite mage. So I will not put on a shield unless that Ignite happens to drop. or if my health drops too quickly and I have almost 12,000 hit points. You probably can't see it because I'm streaming a video that I've previously recorded. But I'm at 11,000. I don't know what my armor is, but I'm at 11,809 hit points in this main tank set. So he's hitting me for, you can see how fast he's hitting me. 2,300, 2,300. Parry, dodge, parry. 1,900 with an absorb, dodge, 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 dodge 4 in a row. 22, 22. I mean, he's hitting me. Oh, he crit me there for 45. So he's hitting fast. I mean, you can see how, but look at my heals too. I'm getting healed like crazy. We have very specifically assigned healers to the tanks for this fight, for every fight, really. But this fight in particular, the healers are not allowed to swap targets. They have to stay on their tank unless that tank dies. Now I put on a shield. So just me sitting there talking, his health already went down. He enrages at 5%. I put on a shield to get ready for the enrage because I don't want to eat a bad crit. If you die at 5%, it's the worst feeling in the world. Okay. So then I'm shield blocking. Just get ready to blow a cooldown if you need it. No big deal. Jump over the slimes. Okay, skip ahead. Now we're tanking Grobulus. Okay, backing it up. So Grobulus just ran up the ramp. You can either tank him in this room, which tanking him in the room is you just kite him around the room, or we're going to tank him on the ramp, which will show you that strategy. I do not main tank this guy because I main tank the next boss. So what happens is Ort's going to grab Grobulus and he's going to bring him out of the corner and he's going to drag him down and stop. And when he drops gas on the ground, he's going to go down and stop and go down and stop and go down and stop. And he's going to go down the ramp. And it's the same strategy as the middle of the room. The healers will stand on this edge here. And the melee will be obviously behind Grobulus. And what they'll do is run backwards and drop gas on the ground. Because when combat ends, the gas dissipates anyway. So what this does is if you know the two separate strats, it's the same strat, it's just two different locations. You don't have to wait for him to make his pat all the way down, and you just saved yourself, a couple minutes of raid time. Okay, Ort's running in, so he's going to grab Grobulus, and he's going to come right around here and then stop, and then move to the top of the ramp and stop, and then start moving down the ramp. And the healers are going to stand here, and they're going to slide to the left with the raid. It's very, very simple. All the melee, including the off-tank, stand behind the left foot. Do not walk. See everybody running in front and then immediately backing up. Grobulus's hitbox is very small for whatever reason. I don't know if Blizzard was trolling when they created some of these hitboxes. Some of them you can be across the room and hit him. And Grobulus, you have to be right inside his shoe almost to hit him. And that's why melee are so close. But if you get in front of him and he slimes you, he will create a bunch of slimes. If he sprays you, I mean. So I'm in Berserker stance. I'm DPSing. I'm not in DPS gear. There's a slime. I taunt it. Hoon taunted it, but I told him in Discord just DPS because he's Fury spec. So if you're the off tank, just build threat. You don't have to be second. This guy does not hit that hard. It's very rare for a main tank to die, or at least for us. And if you're the off tank, grab the slimes. Now, I swapped back to defensive stance. You see he's close to dying already. Swap back to defensive stance, build your rage to 100, and quit using abilities. Just stay at 100 rage. You're not there. Just like the hunter is not there to do damage. No one at the end of a raid in Naxx. Maybe in other raids. Maybe, but I doubt it. Not in our guild at least. No one's looking at the hunter at the end of the raid saying, why did you parse a 50 on that fight? Nobody gives a crap. The hunter's job is to mark and pull. Mark and pull, mark and pull, mark and pull. Get the raid moving. Now, if you're in a guild where that's not the case and you guys drink between every pull, whatever, more power to, or if you take 4 hunters or 5 hunters or whatever, that's fine too. More power to you. But for this guide, for our raids, that's not what we do. We have 1 hunter in the raid. We have 1 rogue in the raid. We have, I think, 20. What is it? 1, 4. Let's see. 1, 2, 4, 16, 17, 19. We have like 22 warriors. I think what most we've ever had is 24 or 25 warriors in the raid. We have 1 druid. We have 2 warlocks, 1 hunter, 1 rogue, and pretty much, and then obviously 1 priest for every group. We usually would have another priest here for this group. We like to have priest for prayer of healing. But not every guild can have that, which is fine. But what I'm saying is, if you want to use less consumes and spend less time in raids, it's very important to kill trash fast. Yes, that is true, and trash is part of the raid. Trash is most of the raid, actually. But you can pull trash a lot quicker than you think. You can pull bosses a lot quicker than you think. And your healers can heal a lot more than you think with less mana than you think. It's just a matter of getting used to it. But again, this video is not for those guys. So I'm building Rage to 100. I'm tanking Gluth next. I'm going to swap my gear set. The gas is dissipating. I'm running up. End of Dreams dropped, which normally doesn't drop, so I was looking at that. So you don't have to jump onto this pipe. This pipe kills people all the time. People will come here and jump this corner and try to make it, and then they overshoot or whatever. You don't have to jump. I don't know why people jump. Just treat this like it's it's the same height and the same everything as this walkway. Just treat it like you're just walking through Stormwind. You're just walking through the waterways, and then when you get to the end, you don't have to jump here either. I do sometimes because there's no chance of missing it, but you can walk right off and land. There's no reason to jump here. You don't have to. Look at me. I just walked. Walk around the corner. Turn. Oh, you know what? I think I'm leaving 4-piece on. I used to tank Gluth and threat gear, and now I think I do 4-piece. So we didn't even stop. Look, we got some healers are less than 50% mana. We're going anyway. I mean, if things are dying in 45 seconds, what difference does it make? So Death Wish. So I usually will blow Blood Rage in the tunnel. I didn't blow Blood Rage in the tunnel. I'm really not sure why I did it. I must not have been paying attention. Normally I land with 100 Rage. Because you want to Bloodthirst and Heroic Strike and get in your rotation right away. Okay, it locked up again here. Starting this back over. But you want to get in your rotation as quick as possible. Right there, I used a Hellstone. So one of the reasons I swapped to using 4-piece here instead of threat gear, you can look at my threat lead with just 4-piece on. Gluth doesn't hit crazy hard, so you could see he right there, he hit me for 1100, but he hits you quickly enough that it's hard to run out of rage on him. It's hard to run out of rage on almost every boss in Naxx. If you're gonna parse, you can wear threat gear, but the problem with Gluth is that you're coming off this tube and you're out in the front, and healers have to land, get a heal on you, move a little bit, get a heal on you, move a little bit. We're taking them all the way to the door, and you'll watch my health. This video player is just garbage. You'll watch my health. So I stutter step there to chug a pot, but let the raid catch up also. But you see my health gets chunked right here a little bit. I got a couple flash heals. Now you see the healers are moving. They're healing the raid. I just got chunked again. I'm at 11,000 and a half health. And he just chunked me down a couple times. So there I put a shield on. Now, so with Gluth, when you land and you Death Wish and you're pumping and the warriors are, following behind you and they're basically waiting to get into position, you're going to have a huge threat lead. Even if you don't have a huge threat lead, you can't be scared to put a shield on at any point in time in the raid. Any boss fight, any trash pack, you need to get used to putting a shield on. And if you don't have a macro that easily swaps your shield and swaps back to dual wield, you need to find one and use it, and just you have to get good at it. With Gluth specifically, because we only bring one hunter, he frenzies. You see right here, he's frenzied. That's why it's one of the reasons I put a shield on. The hunter can only trank every other frenzy because of the cooldown. So you need to be aware of that. So I'm going to keep a shield on until I see that frenzy go away. Now I'm swapping. Now watch, I'll swap back. Well, he went back into frenzy there. Now I'm going to swap. Maybe I don't swap. Okay, I should be swapping back to dual wield, but I probably don't need to because of my threat lead. There, I swapped there right when he dies. But what I normally do, so you could do the same thing in BWL or whatever other bosses that frenzy. If you're only bringing one hunter, or if a hunter calls out in Discord and says trank shot missed or whatever the case may be, you gotta put a shield. You don't have to put a shield on, but it's smart to put a shield on. Because here's the thing: if you're not parsing, what difference does it make? Just like I said a second ago, we're not bringing a hunter for their damage. We're bringing them to mark and pull and trank shot. You're bringing a Fury Prot to hold threat. You're not bringing a Fury Prot for their damage or for them to parse. If you die because you didn't put a shield on, let's say I'd already used my Hellstone, right? Like on when I landed, I used my Hellstone and Last Stand's on cooldown. That's why I have a weak aura here to show me what my cooldowns are. So I have shield wall, that's it. And then just putting on a shield. Putting on a shield is a cooldown for a Fury Prot warrior. It's a half a second cooldown. But you need to treat it like that. You need to treat it like it's a no shit button, because it is. So now we're going to Thaddeus. I'm not gonna skip forward really, because we're just gonna power on through. So we have 2 tanks on each side. And we have an angry area. Waiting on the raid to get up here. I'm gonna get so we're getting a summon on somebody. Oh, someone fell off the pipe is what we were doing. We were summoning somebody. I forget who it was. But I'm waiting to get a Hellstone because I need a Hellstone for this fight. Really, you need to have a Hellstone at all times as a tank. Probably as a Fury Warrior too, but as a tank, you should just try to. That's why I have that weak aura that tells me. So we're already pulling. Stalag does a power surge. And I don't remember off the top of my head what it does. I think it's similar to a Frenzy. I think it's like 200% attack speed or 150% attack speed or something. When you see him get that buff, you don't have to put a shield on, but you need to be aware of it. He can hit you. He can chunk you. I stone shield on these guys. So I drink a stone shield and then I drink another one when it goes off on Thaddeus. So just be aware of that. Now, I don't have any rage because of the run into the room and it decayed and whatnot, but I'm blood raging on the run in. These guys are tauntable. So what I'm going to do is taunt and spin and then try to stop. Don't drag him all the way to the edge because he does a knockback, and if he knocks you, he can knock you off the ledge. So there my taunt got resisted, but luckily I got a heroic strike or something landed. Okay, we got demo shout up, going through rotation. Okay, right there he did a power surge. Now, the off tank overtook me, which is fine, but it's dangerous to do that. Now, I don't know if other guilds do the off tank thing or not, but we do 2 tanks on each side, and we back each other up basically. I probably should have taunted off of him, but I didn't. One tank is supposed to chase threat just in case something happens. And I probably should have taunted, but I didn't. I just let it go. The healer's adjusted. Oh, there I did taunt. I'm sorry, I lied. I did taunt and it got resisted. I could have mocking blowed, but I didn't. I just let Hoon have it because by that point he was at 100% health. So now the other tank gets it. Okay, now he's about to die. They're going to die together. Now you're going to jump off. Now in our raids, this is the right-hand side up here. This is the left-hand side where I'm at. So we do right is on, or excuse me, negative, which is red, is on the right, and positive is left. So the tanks will all start on positive side, and the raid will all stay on negative side. Now, it doesn't really matter. People die on Thaddeus all the time. We don't have too many people dying anymore. But when, like a year ago, when we were, you know, when you have new people coming in and out, and you know we're not, you know, whatever, people get confused. They'll get a positive debuff and they'll go, oh wait, positive's left, or is it right, or is it this? If you're somebody that struggles with that, you're thinking about it the wrong way. So all you have to remember is the very beginning. So the very beginning is, this is positive on this foot, that's negative on that foot. So when I run up here, in my brain, all I'm thinking is, if it's positive, I stay. If it's not, I leave. So I don't need to remember red on right, or I don't need to remember positive on left, or any of. I don't have to remember any acronyms or any of that crap. I can go into other guild runs and be just fine. All I need to know is which side do I go first. Oh, you're a tank. You're gonna go left. You're gonna go negative, which is opposite of what I do. Our guild is positive is left, but it doesn't matter because all I'm gonna think in my head is, if it's positive, I move. If it's negative, I stay. That's it. That's all you got to do. It's so simple. I don't get how people die on this boss. I really don't. Okay, so so the entire raid is going to the negative side. The tanks are on the positive side. We're going to open. Now so I just drank another stone shield. Now the way that we handle Thaddeus is maybe different, but what we do is we have 4 tanks. We have myself, Ort, Hoon, and I think Osbert was the other tank. We do a 4 tank taunt rotation because within the first 10-15 seconds of the fight, Mage Ignite is going to be so powerful, there's nothing you can do to stop it. So I'm still wearing 4-piece tier 3. You could wear DPS gear in D stance and you're not going to hold off that ignite. It's not possible mathematically. And maybe you're in a guild and you're like, "Oh, we hold it off from our mages." Well, then your mages are doing ignite wrong. If ignite is built properly and you have Naxx geared mages, you'll see when I mean, I don't have the logs in front of me, but our mages do a ridiculous ignite tick. So the tanks all just fight for threat right in the beginning, and then you'll see here's the threat meter. You'll see mages start climbing, and you'll see there's taunts going out. So we know Ort goes first, then me, then Hoon, and then Osbert. So this is a weak aura called Zippy's Taunt Monitor. Just ignore this text. I added this with a different weak aura because I was planning on having it assigned with actual tank names, and I just never finished it. So you'll see there's a taunt, and then you can see when the taunt is about to end and the next taunt can go. Now, see, negative, I move. I don't sit there and think, oh, it's red, I have to move right. No, I know I'm on the positive side. Now I know I'm on the negative side. So if it stays negative, I stay where I am. If it changes to positive, I move. It's that simple. If you die on Thaddeus, you're just thinking about it wrong. You're spending too many brain cells on it. So if it changes, you move. That's it. It's dead simple. Okay, we're taunting. We're stacking. His hitbox is humongous. You're just watching it. All I'm doing is watching the taunt. There's a Mocking Blow, so now you can wait a long time because Mocking Blow has a long fixate. Polarity's coming up soon. Now look at here's the mages. So the mage, what we're doing now with these taunts is we're leapfrogging the mage. So now I just taunted. I'm gonna jump from spot 5 up to spot 1, and then the mage is gonna be just below me. The mage is 2% away from pulling threat there. So now I just went up. Now I'm going to keep pumping. Now we got another taunt coming. There's one. Oh, see, for a split second, the mage is on top, and then it's going to swap, and Hoon's going to be on top. So the idea is that he will one-shot the mage. If you can keep a taunt rotation going and your ignite going the whole fight, he will die very fast. I mean, you can see he's already under 50%. And you don't have to taunt during polarity shift. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Now watch. I'm red. I'm staying if it's red. If I stay red, I stay. That's it. Bam, I'm red. I'm not touching anything. I move forward a little bit in case he moved. There's taunts going on. Look at the mage. The mage is up, and the mage also will lip. The mage will call out in Discord, "I'm lipping," or someone will say, "I bopped the mage." But eventually, you're going to run out of cooldowns, so you got to keep the taunts rolling. That's another good reason to wear 4-piece tier 3 here is for the taunt bonus. So there's a resist. You saw that. So right after Hoon went, Osbert went. This is why this weak aura is awesome. So right here, there's Osbert, and then watch Ort's resist, and I immediately taunt to cover him. Okay, now he's dead. Now, if we were going to do a polarity staff, we would take the portal, but we're not. We're going to jump off. We're going to let the debuff fall off. So we're jumping off to let the blues spread out on the platform. And then we're going to immediately run in and engage Saffron. I do. I have a frost protection potion on already. So you see right here is my frost protection. So I don't need to use that. You want to use Stone Shield on Saf as a tank. I'm putting on my flask set because I'd start off the fight dual wielding and death wishing because you're wearing mitigation gear on Saffron and you need to get a threat lead because in our guild we wreck on Saffron usually. I don't think we did this time. I think we saved it for KT because we were doing so much damage, but you want as few air phases as possible. We only got one air phase on this run. Sometimes we get two, but you want as few air phases as possible. So I've got my heal or my flask set on, my heal set. Yeah, my heal set. So I'm going to run in. I'm asking people for a PI. Everybody's PI is down. We've only been using flask set on Saffron for a couple of weeks, so we're not used to it yet. And like I said, I'm still going to use it because it helps me in the beginning. It helps the healers in the beginning to save some mana, and it lets me dual wield for longer. So there, I used it. I'm going to Blood Rage, get Battle Shout up. Now, Saffron is a dick because he cleaves. So it's very possible for him to cleave on top of a melee swing, and he could either crit or crush you on that melee swing. You need to pay close attention on Saffron as the main tank. There's a couple. So in the very beginning of the fight, like right now, I should have already had Stone Shield popped and I didn't. I should have popped it right before I did my flask set. Right after an air phase, when he's reforming or when he's landing or whatever, is very dangerous because he's going to have cleave off cooldown and he's going to melee you, and the healers are going to be still running back to their positions. And also the opening of the fight is very dangerous because you don't have a shield on. So you need to, I have all my, right here is where my cooldowns go, my cooldown weak aura. I'm already aware that the cooldowns are all up. I have last stand up, I have my health stone. There's nothing lit up over here, so I have everything available to me. So there, I drank a Stone Shield. I blew Death Wish. There's Death Wish. Okay, I'm getting healed with Flask. I've got my weak aura. It tells me I got 43 seconds, 42 seconds on Flask. My Flask will last all the way to air phase, the first air phase. So I'm going to dual wield until he gets up in the air. I'm taking some damage, but I'm getting a lot of heals. Not a lot of people are taking damage in the very beginning. People should have frost pots pre-popped. I'm moving backwards. There's chill damage. Okay, so this is important. So there I have Blizzard on me. This Blizzard right in front of me, even though the animation's in front of me, if you have that debuff, you need to walk backwards. If it's behind you, you can walk forwards. Do not turn left or right. If you turn left or right, he's going to cleave melee, and I believe that cleave chains. So if I get close to this paladin, the cleave chains to me, to him, it could then chain to this person and then chain and kill everybody. Do not turn Saffron left or right. There's no need to do that. Walk backwards until you're out of Blizzard, or walk forwards if it's behind you. I've tanked this dude 100 times. I've never had to go left or right. Now he's air phasing, so we got unlucky. Or some warrior died, probably to Blizzard. It's a bad Blizzard. Now everybody's gonna spread out. As the tank, you're staying right. You're staying put. Stay right here in the middle. You want to be as close to him as possible to pick him back up. Now, while he's in the air, you can still debuff him. You can refresh demo. I usually wait until I'm running back in to refresh demo, but you can refresh it before he lands because his hitbox is so large. You see all the warriors going D-stance? If you're a Fury Warrior, go D-stance in this phase because you're still taking frost damage from the aura. There's a block there. We're getting blocks out. So he's at 59%. I'm looking where the blocks are. I'm trying to decide where am I going to go. Right now I'm eyeballing this one to the right. Yep. Okay, I'm going to go there. I just refreshed demo shout. I'm at full rage. I put a shield on. So the reason I put a shield on, even though there's a mage creeping up on me, I've gotten unlucky before where he lands and then immediately crushing blows me and cleaves me at the same time, and I've already used a Healthstone. So I'm putting a shield on, and then you're going to see me shield block before he lands. That's to get the cooldown moving. So right there, I did the shield block cooldown. So now I've got, I don't see, there it is right there. I've got 2 charges of shield block for 3 seconds. I have 3 seconds on cooldown. So when he lands, he's going to hit me, and I'm going to block or dodge, depending on how lucky I am. So I parried, and he missed the cleave. Okay, and now I'm going to keep my shield on the rest of the time. But I'm going to keep an eye on the threat meter. So the warriors are really far below me. I'm not worried about this caster because this caster does not do more threat in execute phase like warriors do. And the caster can just quit casting. Warriors, if warriors are close to you, they're probably going to overtake you because warriors tunnel vision. This mage is up high, but there's no ignite icon, so there's not an ignite that's getting. You see him dropping down the threat meter. Now the warriors are in execute phase. You know, you saw I walked backwards again to get out of the blizzard. Okay, he's gonna die. And that's it. So again, that looks super easy because of how fast it is. If you had 2 more air phases to Saffron, it gets way more hectic. There's a lot of people that I've spoken to in other guilds that don't understand why we go as hard as we go and as fast as we go. For one, the consumes cost less. Because if you're clearing Naxx in under 2 hours, you know, if it takes you let's say it takes you 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours to clear Naxx, that's 3 1-hour consumes. A flask lasts for 2 hours. Mongoose, there's a handful of things that last for an hour. There's a handful of things that last for half an hour. If you can do Naxx in an hour and a half or less, you can cut your consume costs down quite a bit. Obviously, dying or wiping sucks, and it takes that off the table. But the trick to that is don't die and don't wipe. You protect your buffs. So one thing that, and I'm just going to talk while we're moving into KT's room. And I'm wearing my mitt set here, by the way. But you can see, I'm not wearing anything with block on it. I'm wearing, you can't see it, but I'm wearing Steadfast Determination gloves. I'm wearing Girdle of the Mentor. I'm wearing 2.5 legs. I'm wearing the Unrelenting shoulder pads from AQ. I think I'm wearing 4 or 5 pieces of tier 3. Face of Death. And then I'm using Ring of the Godslayer. And then I'm using the Armor and Agility Ring from Twins and AQ40. That's my mitt set. My mitt set still has a decent amount of agility and crit in it. Not a ton, but a little bit. I'm getting another Hellstone here. Okay, we're moving in. We're actually talking in Discord right now about our time and where we're at on our time because, like I said, this was our current not our world record, personal record of sub 60 minutes. It was our first sub 60 minute Naxx we'd ever done, and we were talking. We usually stop here and drink and wait about 30 to 60 seconds, and right now we're just waiting on the tail to catch up, and then we're immediately going to engage and start the fight. So just like check your consumes. I'm looking right here. I'm always looking after every fight. I look right here at this weak aura, and this is my consume bar. This tells me how much time I have on consumes. If there's no timer, it means it's missing. I see my trinkets that are equipped and what their cooldown is. I've got Fear Ward up. I probably should have clicked that off, but I didn't think about it. And then I have a Frost Pot on still. So I probably just drank. Yeah, I just drank a Frost Pot. I have a minute left on my cooldown. So KT's phase 1 is sped up. There was some bleed over from patch and SOD or whatever or anniversary servers, and I think it's like 60 seconds quicker than it used to be or something, or maybe it's 2 minutes. I don't know. I'm taking off Thunder Fury because I don't want Thunder Fury proc to chain into the cubbies, which it can do, and pull the entire cubby. So all of our warriors who have a Thunder Fury will take it off for this phase 1, and then we'll put it back on for phase 2. All we're doing here is killing A-bombs. The melee really don't do anything except shoot bows. You shoot bows at skeletons. You shoot bows at the caster mobs, and then you kill the A-bombs. So like, you'll see, and I forgot to equip my Mark of the Champion, so I've got Slayers equipped, which sucks. So we just kill the A-bombs. Really, the only thing you need to know as a tank for this is you need to know, are you the A-bomb tank or not? Typically, the tank that starts on KT is the A-bomb tank for us. So our angry area here says phase 1 A-bombs plus KT start equals Ort. And then chase is myself and Hoon. So I will pick up the last A-bomb that spawns so Ort can get into position. But otherwise, I'm letting him taunt. And you're just building rage. You don't need to spend a ton of rage. The melee DPS are going to kill stuff. You're not there for your amazing bloodthirst crits. You're there to tank. Like I said earlier in the video, rage, you gotta, as a Fury Warrior, or when you're tanking a boss, you want to have the mindset of cast Bloodthirst every 10 seconds, or every 6 seconds. Is it 6? I think it's 6 seconds. Every 6 seconds, you're pressing that button. When you're on trash, you don't have to do that. It's more important to manage your rage. You don't want to ever be at 0 rage. When you're at 0 rage, and if you don't believe me, go run a raid and try it out and see how it goes. Go to a ZG or go to a AQ40 or go to a BWL, whatever tier that you're raiding in. And when you're on the trash, look at the threat meter and make a conscious decision. Do I need another Bloodthirst or not? Or can I just hold it with Heroic Strike? Or do I even need the Heroic Strike? Can I just auto attack for the next 3 seconds, and then when the next trash pack comes, I have 100 rage or 80 rage or whatever, and I can Bloodthirst immediately and Heroic Strike at the same time that mob reaches me. And then guess what? You got a ton of threat, and you don't have to do it again. You can build the rage back up and carry the rage from pack to pack to pack, and you never have to lose threat to, a DPS warrior or a rogue or a mage cast on fireball or whatever. So now we're getting him in position. So the way that we tank KT is we have a KT setup sheet that's in our Discord. A lot of guilds do this, but the setup sheet has melee groups assigned with marks. So we have the circle in the back, we have the diamond on my left, which is KT's right, and the square is on the right or KT's left, and then the tanks are in the front. The tanks stack. The reason we used to not do tank stacking. We used to have the one off tank in one group and one off tank in the other group, and we stopped doing that in part because we have so many melee. All three tanks sometimes will get tombed, but the tanks should be getting healed anyway, so it's not a humongous deal. And actually, I think we do die to a tomb in this, so it's ironic that I just said that. But let me say 90% of the time or 95% of the time, the tanks don't get tombed, and even if they do, we usually get healed through it quicker than the melee do. And then all the ranged are all spread out around us. So the ranged group, or not the ranged groups, the melee groups are all assigned to kick, and they will kick going around the groups. If KT gets out of position, if we get a Shadow Fisher under us and we move, or after a mind control, if one of the off tanks gets control of him and he's way over here, we don't try to pull him back across the room. We tank him where he stands, and the melee groups adjust. So the diamond group is always going to be on his right leg. The square group is always left leg, and circle's always behind. So it's pretty simple. Now, I'm an off tank right here. Ort is main tanking. The first mind control does not have a timer. Mind control is a threat wipe. When he mind controls, you need to save your trinket and you need to save Bloodthirst. Just spam heroic strike, stay in defensive stance, try to stay above 70 solar rage, and as soon as he mind controls, you need to be blowing trinket and Bloodthirst and going crazy and try to hold him still. He needs to stay in this circle. So that's the goal. And usually we do a pretty good job of holding him in the middle. I think 2 of us died to an ice tomb on this run. So he's already at 70%. So there's a Shadow Fisher. So you don't, even if you're a melee group, Shadow Fisher happens, you run straight backwards. You don't go left. You don't go, if you go this way, you're going to get these guys tombed if you get targeted. If you go that way, you're going to get the back group tombed. You go straight back. The ranged and the healers need to get out of your way. So we're moving straight back as the tanks, and then Kel'Thuzad's going to move with us, and then we're going to stay right where we're at. We're not going to try to reposition him. He just gets tanked wherever he's standing. You don't want to be moving around the room in this fight. Okay, so right here we got tombed. Now the tanks have tons of health. The melee usually will click off Flask of the Titans to lower their health a bit so they don't take quite as many high ticks of damage. But for whatever reason for this week, the tanks got frozen and 2 of us just did not get enough heals. I don't know why. So Ort probably died because he had Kel'Thuzad meleeing him still. And then I just was getting huge ticks of the Frost Nova. So there's the MC. Now we lucked out there. A different warrior had threat over Hoon when he cast MC. I guess it was Kensuda, and then that meant that Hoon did not get MC'd, so he was able to pick up threat. We're very lucky that this didn't turn into a wipe. And actually, it looks like Kensuda's going to die. Yeah, he just died. Okay. So now we have an actual tank, but Chains of Kel'Thuzad is the MC. So when the MC goes out, all the DPS warriors were supposed to stop attacking. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Casters are supposed to stop casting. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But that's why you as an off tank, you don't want to build threat on before the MC goes out, because it doesn't do you any good. It's a threat wipe. You need to save your trinket, save your cooldowns. I probably wouldn't blow Death Wish because KT does hit hard. But you want to try to get him picked up with a snap Bloodthirst as quick as possible. Now the rest from here is just tank and spank. So now they're healing Hoon up. He's tanking. The Guardians of Ice Crown are coming out soon, I think. So these guys that are MC'd, you'll see there's one sheeped. These guys are hodged and slept. We use magic dust from the Dust Devils in Westfall for that. Okay, MC's over. Everybody gets back to their group. Groups are still in the same spots. Now Guardians of Ice Crown come out. We have a Paladin. Even if the tanks were up, none of the tanks go and get these. We have a paladin that takes off salvation, puts on righteous fury, and spams kings on the warriors. Because Blessing of Kings does, I think it's 40 threat or 40. I forget what the number is. Let's say it's 40 threat or 50 threat per cast. Well, if you're casting on 20 warriors, that's a lot of threat, right? Per cast, per global cooldown. Like, it's a lot. So there's a paladin standing somewhere in this room. I don't know exactly where they're at. Right now, spamming Blessing of Kings. And all of the Guardians of Icecrown are going to head to that paladin. And then there's the priest will shackle a few of them. And then the paladin is wearing all plate and then just tanks them. Just heals himself and tanks the Guardians of Icecrown. It's nice. And then it lets the tanks, stay on Kel'Thuzad in case there's another mind control, but also to add more damage to Kel'Thuzad. So you'll see these Guardians of Icecrown. They'll go there. That one got shackled. He must be behind me because I don't see him. Right there, maybe? Nope, that was a priest. Oh, it must be over here. Yeah, right here. They finally got over to him. Okay, and then we killed him. Now that fight, again, we got very lucky. Kel'Thuzad is extremely dangerous right after MC. Sometimes whenever he MCs, it's always the main tank or the person highest on the threat list, and I think 3 random people or 2 random people. Those random people can be off tanks. So there's been times where we've had the tanks, all of them, get MC'd at the same time, and it sucks because then Kel'Thuzad runs around like crazy and starts murdering people. But as a tank, like, I did not use shield wall the entire run. I try as best I can. Yeah, I try not to save cooldowns, but I only really consider using shield wall on Saffron and KT because those are the fights where it really makes a big difference. Like, it makes a huge difference. If I hadn't died and if I would have gotten threat on KT instead of Hoon for that, I probably would have blown shield wall. Like, if I was watching those Guardians of Icecrown run around, I probably would have, when they ran through him, I probably would have AoE taunted to get one of them on me and then shield walled just to buy more time. Because sometimes shield wall can just buy time. I mean, you can see the healer mana is pretty low. He just died, or he's just about to die, and all of the priests are low. There's one priest that I think that says 30%, 29%. I mean, they're all low. The paladins are all still pretty good, but the priests are what you want to have high mana for prayer of healing. So shield wall is not just to save your own life. Sometimes you can use it on fights and on Saffron too. If you just went through a third air phase and he's landing and he's at 10%, blow shield wall and just tell the healers in Discord, hey, I just blew shield wall. Heal other people. Heal yourself, heal other people for the next 10 seconds. Don't waste heals on me. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be vocal in Discord. But you can use your cooldowns offensively like that, where they are defensive and you're taking less damage, but you're not using it in that moment to save your life. You're using it to help the healers hold mana or spend mana more efficiently somewhere else. Or there's been other pools where the paladin was tanking 4 of these and then he died, and then the paladin dies and says, I just died. I look at KT's health, he's at 25% still, so I know, there's a good 15 seconds left in this fight, and those guardians are going to run around and kill every priest in this raid in 15 seconds. And I'll just run over and jump in the air to get, the leeway bonus, cast Challenging Shout, and then either lip or shield wall. And then just run through them and Mocking Blow one, taunt the other one, try to lock them down. But yeah, if I don't get threat, that's something that I try to do on KT as well. So if you're an off tank and, an orc got mind controlled and you cast Bloodthirst and yours didn't crit, but Hoon's did and Hoon got aggro, let him just stop. Don't keep spamming buttons. Keep auto attacking, but when you're watching the threat meter, if you see a tank above you, then stop. You don't want the healer, even though most healers do target-to-target healing, you want it to be as stable as possible. So in those situations, then what I do is then I say, okay, now either I'm going to sit here and swap to Berserker stance because Mind Control I think is on like a 30-second cooldown or 40-second cooldown. You can swap to Berserker for a little bit and do some damage. You can even blow Death Wish if you want, because you know you're not going to get aggro in the next, couple 20 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever. Or if it's close to the time when these guys come running out, then you can, like I said, blow your AoE shout, put a shield on, and still stand where you're standing. As far as I'm aware, these guys don't cleave or do any AoE. They just melee you. And, you can, and it'll help, even if you just AoE taunt them and don't melee them. Just AoE taunt them and then let them get shackled on top of you or something. There's other things you can do. So I think we got a THC this run. You can't see the chat, and I don't remember if I clicked on it, but I'm pretty sure we got a THC this run. I think it was a THC and then a healer shield. I didn't see it. Phylactery. But anyway, so that's how we tanked each boss in Naxx. A lot of them seem pretty straightforward, and for the most part they are. Like I said, there's some nuances to tanking. You can get into a raid and get into a rhythm where, you're getting comfortable and you're not really thinking about any other things other than just pressing the buttons you're supposed to press, and you're not really watching what other people are doing. But, if you want to get to that next level where you're using your abilities to help out, like that's a reason why I don't lead raids. I've never been a raid leader. I've been officers in guilds before. I'm not an officer in the guild I'm in now, and I'm not a raid leader, but I like to see the healer mana, because I sometimes do make decisions when I'm tanking a boss based on what this healer mana says. Now, in Naxx though, we do have it down to a point where everything is pretty much expected to go a certain way, and then it usually does go that way. We're not going to pull a boss with everybody at 10% mana, but we very rarely will arrive to a boss in that fashion, if that makes sense. Like we pretty much have the pulls down to a point where people use their abilities wisely. They're not just unless you're a Fury Warrior and you're mindlessly spamming Bloodthirst and Execute, And even then, the warriors sometimes now won't use Execute on trash because they don't want to be at 0 rage for the next pack. Which, when you first hear that, you're like, well, that's stupid. Why wouldn't you use Execute and just kill the trash faster? Well, for one, because there's only so many Executes that can go out. Like, all 24, 22, or 20, whatever of these warriors are not all going to execute. There's going to be a ton of overkill, or there's going to be Executes that happened that did no damage but took your rage. It's probably better just to Bloodthirst again, or Whirlwind again, or Cleave again, or whatever, and then run to the next pack with 60 rage, and then you can open up harder on that pack than you can if you have 0 rage. So there are different things you can do and ways to play your character other than just mindlessly follow the rotation. Same thing with a tank. I don't want to end this video with me dead on the floor, even though Blady's teabagging me. Or is he teabagging Ort? I think he's teabagging Ort. So I'll wait for the res. So again, this video is meant to go along with a guide that I published, a document that I published for our guild tanks. This is meant as an accompanying video to kind of show the positioning of different things, because it's hard to sometimes explain in text what you mean. So I wanted to have a video, and this was the most recent Naxx we just did, and it just happened to be our personal record, so that's the one that I chose. Even though I didn't have a Nubricon in there, I really might re-record this at some point with a different footage. I don't know, because I'd like to have a Nubricon in there. It's kind of weird that I don't have him, but his strategy is very simple. You turn him 180 degrees, you tank and spank him, and you cleave the ads on top. There should not be a phase 2. It's pretty simple. So that was the video, about 2 hours long. Sorry for the length, but again, I wanted to be, as in depth as possible. So if there's any questions or comments, I mean, I really don't care about comments. Like, some people are going to argue, you did this wrong, you did that wrong. Like, I don't really care. I mean, I've had people telling me that for years. I've been playing this game since it came out originally, the original Vanilla WoW. I played original TBC. pretty hardcore back in the day, and spent many hours playing that game. And back then, I thought I knew what I was doing, and honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to the re-release of TBC with Anniversary, because I guarantee that I would be a much better player today than I was back then. So I don't think I know everything now, because back then I thought I knew everything and I didn't. So it'd be kind of ironic for me now to think now I've got it all figured out. But I do pay attention to logs. I look at logs every single night, every single day after a raid. I look at what gear did I wear, how much damage did I take, how much damage did I output. I look at my VODs, I look at my threat, I look at my rotation, I look at all kinds of things, and I'm constantly getting feedback from others on how to get more efficient. Not necessarily better. There's always probably going to be a better time to cast Bloodthirst, or a better time to cast Revenge or Sunder, or whatever ability you want to pull out of a hat. A better time to use Slayers instead of a different trinket, or use Life-Giving Gem, or who knows what. It's really what I'm learning is it's really all about consistency and predictability. When we're trying to move fast, the least amount of deaths, the better. So back in the day, we used to have warriors throwing dynamite every cooldown, and using sapper every cooldown, and using MRP every cooldown, even on trash. And now what we're seeing them do is saving MRPs, and instead they're using lips to survive, because it really doesn't matter if you use sapper 50 times a raid, which is impossible because of the cooldown, but let's just say you could use 50 sappers a raid. That damage does not equate to world buffs. If you lose your world buffs, you are completely boned. I don't want to say there's no reason to continue the raid, because there is. We do continue the raid, but as a DPS, if you lose your buffs, you just totally screwed the pooch, and nothing you can do will make up for the loss of those buffs damage-wise. It doesn't matter if your rotation's perfect. It doesn't matter if your uptime is perfect. It doesn't matter if your cooldown usage is perfect. If you lose those world buffs, you are now a liability to the raid. You have just cost the raid time and energy that it cannot be getting back, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's fine. That happens. I'm just saying that, you're not gonna just wear bis all the time. You're not gonna wear leather all the time as a warrior. You might think that, but you're wrong. And if you wear that and you're running in a 4-hour Naxx, okay, good for you. I'm happy for you. But this video is not for you. This video is for us and for people that want to raid like this and be done. A lot of us are dads. We don't want to be raiding until midnight every night. We want to get to bed and get up and get to work the next day. So, all right, if anyone has any questions or, like I said, concerns, comments, whatever. My YouTube channel is not big, but I do answer questions whenever I can. You can also find me on Discord. I don't think I'm anywhere else. I'm not on Twitch. Well, I am on Twitch, but I really only stream our raids. I don't stream during the day. But this is probably one of the longest videos I'll ever put out. It's not very comprehensive. It doesn't look the best. But again, this is more just a guide and a thing for our guys, our up and coming tanks and existing tanks that want to get better. Including myself. So, all right, maybe I'll put out another video at some point and see you guys in the next one.